Yes, hi. I am calling this number because I saw it on a bathroom wall. Seeing if you're Brandi.
I'm Brandi Lukas, and this is Brandi is Going to Hell. My taste in music is all over the shop, and it's the driving force behind this show. I will be bringing you music updates and chats with artists that you won't hear anywhere else.
The only true currency in this bankrupt world is what you share with someone else when you're uncool.
We're a band that we've never done the same thing twice. To stay authentic and to keep loving what we do, we have to do what we want to do, and that's changing ourselves. And with Blood and Glitter, it's a big celebration of diversity. When you listen to the lyrics, apart from being very positive and very glam and glittery and playful, there are a lot of critical lyrics on the album. I think it's our most political album, so it's very explicit.
I'm Brandi Lukas, and that was Pi, the guitarist from Hamburg's industrial metal and genre-fusing band Lord of the Lost, set to represent Germany in the 2023 Eurovision Song Contest. In this episode, Pi discusses the band's new album Blood and Glitter, the moment winning the Eurovision preliminaries, and surprises for the summer shows. Greetings, Earthlings. Thanks for hitting play to support my podcasting dreams. I'm so grateful you tuned in so I can take you on this musical journey. If you're new here, I interview artists big and small, and before every interview, I talk about 5 albums by artists big and small that I dig. Welcome to episode 27. I'm stoked to have the guitarist of Hamburg's industrial metal band, yet genre-fusing visionaries, Lord of the Lost. Before my chat with Pi, I got to have some Chameleon Studio Christmas party glühwein with him and a few other Lord of the Lost members when I spent this past December in Germany with my husband and another band I cannot name. That moment was my introduction to Lord of the Lost, and what a cool time to discover someone new. About a week later, Lord of the Lost announced their forthcoming 8th studio album, Blood and Glitter, due December 30th, and dropped the title track the same day. Following the album's release on December 30th, the band reached number 1 on the official German charts and recently won the Eurovision preliminaries for representing Germany at the 2023 Eurovision Song Contest in Liverpool this May. Many thanks to my friend Natalie Camillo at Napalm Records for setting up this interview, my husband Mike for introducing me to Eike Freese at Chameleon Studios, and Eike for contributing a fun question for Pi in this interview. Check out Lord of the Lost and Pi Stoffers on socials and give them all the follows while I dive into records that I dig. You can listen along to all the music I reference on my show via 2 5-star playlists that I created just for you. Brandi is Going to Hell, New Music I Dig, and Brandi is Going to Hell, My Dope Guests. You can find these playlists on Spotify by searching Brandi Lukas Airy or on my website, brandyisgoingtohell.com. And if that's a little bit too much for you to handle, you can search me on Instagram at Brandi Lukas, that's Brandi with an I, Lukas with a K, and hit the link in my bio, and it's all laid out in black and white. First up, Metallica's 12th studio album, 72 Seasons, dropped April 14th, the day after my birthday, in all of its 12 tracks and over 77 minutes of metal glory. For those of you just learning about the album now, James Hetfield shares in the liner notes that 72 Seasons refers to the first 18 years of our lives that form our true or false selves. That's pretty cool and deep. And if you haven't figured it out yet, it's the 18 years times 4 seasons a year, giving us 72 seasons. I got to watch the global premiere of the album in theaters the day before its release, which was really cool to see the band talk about each song on the record. A few highlights for me, outside of the band's lead single, Lux Eterna, are Crown of Barbed Wire, If Darkness Had a Sun, Too Far Gone, and Room of Mirrors. Santa Cruz's hardcore punk band Scowl released their EP Psychic Dance Routine this past April 7th, following their 2021 debut album How Flowers Grow. Their latest 5-song EP is the perfect place to check them out if this is your first time hearing about them. I saw Scowl open for Snot, Wargasm, and Limp Bizkit May 2022 in Atlantic City. Highly recommend you checking them out live. Chicago singer-songwriter, musician, and poet Kara Jackson delivers folk music with her own twist and takes us on a vulnerable, eye-opening, and heart-wrenching journey through her debut, Why Does the Earth Give Us People to Love? Definitely one of the albums at first listen that made me stop and ask myself, what's going on here? This is neat. Finnish singer-songwriter ALMA pivots from her club-thumping anthems with her sophomore album Time Machine, released April 21st, and to be completely transparent, I prefer it. She has a lovely voice, and paired with her sweet storytelling and tender confessions, I am hooked. Standout tracks from me are Everything Beautiful, Summer Really Hurt Us, I Forgive Me, and Hey Mom, Hey Dad. I'm anchoring my new music I Dig segment with a single that just came out last week by London's The Last Dinner Party, titled Nothing Matters. This is the band's debut single, and it comes with a dreary and sensual video that pulls you in from start to finish, which lends to the chorus, and you can hold me like he held her, and I will fuck you like nothing matters. Last year, without a single to their name, they opened for the Rolling Stones, Sam Fender, and Courtney Barnett at Hyde Park. Join the theatrics, drama, and high emotion of this band now, and thank me later when you're part of the ride. Before I roll into my chat with Pi, I'm happy to announce that my next episode of Brandi is Going to Hell is coming out May 10th with Pete from New York City's instrumental post-rock trio, You Bred Raptors. I will be premiering the band's song Perimeter before it comes out on May 12th. Super exciting. I am so pumped. Be sure to pre-order their new album Lysine at youbredraptors.com. And now it's time for my lovely chat with Pi of Lord of the Lost on Brandi is Going to Hell. Here we go.
Hi,
Hi,
Brandi.
Pi. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you so much for hanging with me today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's go right into it. There are two huge elephants in the room to talk about in the Lord of the Lost world. But first, let's start with the surprise you dropped this past New Year's Eve. Your unannounced and latest album, Blood and Glitter. To set the stage, I want to name a few of your band's other successes, following all of the Lord of the Lost albums that entered, they entered the official German charts, which is great. So 2016's Empyrean at number 9, 2018's Thornstar number 6, which I'm pretty sure that was your first album. Or maybe I'm wrong. Ish.
Yes, I mean our first regular album. I joined at the end of 2016, and we released our second acoustic album, Swan Songs 2, in 2017. So technically, one could say this was my first album, but in regular Lord of the Lost albums, Thornstar was my first, so to speak. Yeah.
Lovely. And then 2021's Judas at number 2, and then boom. Blood and Glitter hits number 1 on the official German charts in 2023. I'm obsessed with this record, by the way, so I'm really excited I get to talk to you about it. Dropping it unannounced is, very Beyonce of you in a way. So can you please talk about that thought process for that approach compared to past rollouts?
Sure. I mean, we've never been called Beyonce before.
She's
so
surprised. Yeah, she's
that's the first.
Yeah, she surprise dropped a record, so that's the metaphor there.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay,
but, I got that. But we've been called a lot of things, but never Beyonce. Sure. I mean, all of these albums that you just mentioned, and pretty much all of the ones before, because that's how the music industry works. were released with a pre-sale time and a promo time, so to speak, where it's the usual thing, right? You release singles with music videos, or sometimes they're called visualizers now. Wherever this comes from, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I just don't know why it's called visualizer all of a sudden. It's modern, I think. And all of these albums, and the usual way to do it is release singles, music videos, and you have like 3 to 6 months of pre-sale / promo, which is a conventional rollout. What we did with Blood and Glitter, we 180'd it a bit and did nothing of that, like literally nothing. We didn't say a word about Blood and Glitter at all. Only the last 6 days prior to its release, where we announced the first single, which was Blood and Glitter, with a video, and we said, like, you know what, the album is coming in 6 days. On the 30th of December, we released Blood and Glitter, the single, on Christmas Eve, the 24th of December. And why we did it that way, I mean, we basically said, can I swear?
Oh, yeah. This is a podcast.
We basically said, fuck the charts, because all of the pre-sales go into the chart numbers, right? And you stated all of our successes with that got better and better, with placing 9th, placing 6th, then 2nd with Judas, and nothing works logical there in a way, but the next logical thing would be number 1 would be cool. But we said with Blood and Glitter, fuck the charts. We don't want to do it that way, because you basically take away all of the surprise from an album with releasing various singles up front. And it's not like when you, at least to us, we thought it's not like when you get the album, you can really explore and discover that much anymore, because you heard all the singles, which are usually the strongest songs. We didn't want to do it that way. We kind of wanted to do the old school way, like you all of a sudden get an advert from your favorite band saying, you know, there's an album out tomorrow, basically, and just get it. Go to your local record store and get the album and listen to it and discover everything. I think that not only keeps it fresh for the fans, but also for us in a way, because we didn't have to speak about an album that's not out for a month prior to the release. And when the release is done, we're kind of done with the album as well, because we talked about it for so long already, after writing, recording, producing and stuff. So yeah, we wanted also the release date to announce it on Christmas and then release it on the 30th of December. It was us just wanting to make it sort of a Christmas present as well. I mean, presents are always a nice gesture. It's the gesture that counts.
Yeah,
and we had a pretty successful year last year with supporting Iron Maiden and playing our by far most successful tour last year in fall, our homecoming tour. And the reason we got to do that, all of that in a way, is because our fan base kept us afloat during the pandemic, because musicians didn't get to do a lot of things during the pandemic except for selling merch. So we basically, all we did was, next to writing 2 albums during the pandemic with Judas and Blood and Glitter, we started writing, I think, 2 weeks after Judas was released.
That's great.
Next to that, we just sold merch. And the demand of the fans and that the support they wanted to give was what kept us afloat. So this was also a way of giving back, like a surprise album. And even though we didn't expect anything, because when you only have 6 days of pre-sale, since the charts are based on how much numbers you do, basically, you don't get anywhere usually in the charts. You don't.
Yeah, it's super ballsy of you guys for sure, because it's no risk, no reward, and obviously in this situation you reap the benefits of it in a way. You know, it's a very huge kind of release and surprising, and you know, it goes to show it worked in your favor, and it's really
It
rad.
was super surprising. I didn't expect that at all. And then you get the midweek charts, right? Before the end result is there, you get the midweek charts, the trends, and we were on number 1 already in the trends, and
Hell yeah.
that was the point where we were like, okay, so it's real now. What do we do? Is like then you get kind of in a way competitive, so to speak. You're running a marathon, but you not really caring about the result. But when you already see the finish line, you realize you're in first position. I don't know a single person who wouldn't start to run then. That's what we did.
That's awesome. So
Yeah, and it worked.
for longtime listeners of the band, Blood and Glitter is quite the contrasted, you know, it's contrasted compared to previous releases. Can you share the underlying message and theme of Blood and Glitter compared to past albums?
Sure. You know, we're a band that we've never done the same thing twice at all. Because we think it's not that exciting to us. And at the end of the day, we're the ones that are doing this. So to stay authentic and to keep loving what we do, we have to do what we want to do. And that's, in our case, changing ourselves from album to album. And with Blood and Glitter, let me get something.
Okay.
We have something here. Oops. It's a book
Aha.
called.
You read my mind.
It's a book called Blood and Glitter. It's from a photographer called Mick Rock. He was one of the main photographers in the 70s and 80s. That's what was his high tide, where he photographed all the big acts, mainly David Bowie and Queen, and so many other glam and rock and roll artists. And he did a photo book, which we think is catching the vibe of this era perfectly. And we were at a video shoot for Judas, for a predecessor album, and Chris came to us with this photo book and the idea of this photo book and the inspiration, basically. And we talked about if that could be a concept for us to take this, to try to take this vibe and to make it ours in a way, in an aesthetic way, because the album isn't sounding 70s and glam, not really, it's more 80s. But we wanted to mix that. We wanted to mix these glam 70s aesthetics and the 80s, which we really love. All this, not like 80s thrash metal 80s, but 80s synthesizer 80s, like Aha, for example, or Depeche Mode. And we tried to do that. And when you, for example, look at the booklet, we try to, our first idea obviously was to somehow make it happen to be photographed by Mick Rock, but he passed away in 2021. So that wasn't possible. So we tried to kind of catch that vibe with photos that we did with a friend of ours who's called Franz Schepers. He's a great photographer. And we did a 2-day photo session with like 12 locations or something, always in different outfits, where like he took photos from a voyeuristic standpoint. So we weren't really posing. He was just like pulling the trigger in the situation that was this photo set. It was a party set. It was like us running around our hometown. So it looked like we were basically on tour for a year and he was with us.
Yeah, in the moment.
Exactly, in the moment. And
that's awesome. Yeah. Quite the juxtaposition from upside down crosses to red and gold glitter. Love it. There you go.
It is. And I get why for some people it might seem weird and it might seem like nothing is working and we're trying with a different thing.
Oh, no, it works. It's great.
It speaks for itself in a
Totally.
way. And with Judas, for example, we went so sinister and bleak with everything in a way, and emotionally heavy, and really, I don't know, went into the smallest details of that album. It's a double album with 24 tracks. There's a lot of church organ and a real choir and real stringed instruments on it, like a chamber orchestra, and we couldn't go further with that. For us, maxed that out, so we had to do something completely different. And I think it doesn't get more different than Blood and Glitter, and we really, really love it. I love that record so much because to me, it's a very positive record.
Yes.
Coming from a not so positive time. In retrospect, really, it feels like we wrote these songs with the yearning for live shows again and that raw live energy, because when you listen to the songs, at least I feel like it, and we tried it already, we played the whole album on stage already this year. We wanted to see if it works live, and every song works live. So in retrospect, I guess we kind of had that yearning for live shows again as well.
Awesome. And for Blood and Glitter, it's a loaded question, but for as far as like themes and what the album is about, can you just kind of highlight that for everybody in podcast land who might be listening to you for the first time through my show?
Yeah. The album Blood and Glitter is, I think it's to us, it's a big celebration of diversity in a way. Because as I already said, coming from a very bleak and sinister side, we're showing a completely different one. And when you listen to the album and to the lyrics, to the lyrics of a lot of songs, they are empowering a lot of times, empowering you to be what you really are and what you want to be, how you see yourself in whatever way that may be. But also, we stepped away from speaking all in metaphors and everything, because we did that heavily in past times. But especially with having to sit with a lot of problems, you really have the itch for saying things how they are, or at least how we see them. So apart from being very positive and diverse and very glam and glittery and playful as well, there are a lot of critical lyrics on the album. I think it's our most critical and political album in my ears and eyes. Maybe there are people who, when they listen to it, they just think it's a rather good party album in a way. Because there's no ballad on the album.
Yes.
It somehow didn't happen at all. So it's very explicit.
Yeah,
that's the term.
It's very upfront, and I love that about it, especially when you deep dive into the lyrics. no strings attached. It's very,
No.
very, very forward, and I love that. Something that you're doing that's super cool is you've been releasing official videos for lots of songs on the album so far. And the band has put out videos for Blood and Glitter, Leave Your Hate in the Comments, which is so funny, by the way. It was really cool to see that side of you guys. Absolute Attitude, Leaving the Planet Earth, and then the latest one that was just released was Forever Lost. I love how mindful, the band is with visually representing the songs. And I especially love how conceptual videos and silly videos. And is there anything that you would love to highlight or share from what you've done so far from all those videos?
I mean, first of all, thanks. I think Leave Your Hate in the Comments. I mean, it's so trashy. So trashy.
I love it.
And it's super funny. But in general, when you have all these, again, going back to the diversity thing, we have all these videos like super posy Blood and Glitter video where there's a lot of things happening, a lot of production, and it's just looking very aesthetic and cool in a way, like a great performance video. You have the super trashy Leave Your Hate in the Comments. You have an almost mockumentary video for Absolute Attitude, and you have a then again a tough, I think it's a tough video to watch when you watch the video for Forever Lost, because I don't want to spoil anything here, but there's no performance going on, there's no face of ours in the video, there's nothing from us. There is very, very real footage of problems in the world. Yeah,
tragedies of the world, man. It was very powerful.
A lot of tragedy. Yeah. And it was just released, as you said, like 2 days ago or something. And I watched it back when it was released again. And I in my head, I went like, should we put a trigger warning before in front of the video? I think we kind of should have done it, because it's kind of it has doom scrolling character in a way, but condensed in, what is it, 5 minutes? Yeah. And I don't know, you should watch it if you want to have
if you're listening, you should watch.
It's a reality check in a way, and with everything that's going on with us right now, with the album and Eurovision and whatever, this is us stepping back, and it's just us showing reality in a way. We don't want to get you in a bad mood. That's also reality.
Yeah. Your band is very, very mindful with visually representing your songs, and I think that is an amazing thing. And, putting out these videos instead of before the album's out, after, just keeps it all fresh and, reminds everybody of how special every song is. I especially love how you have where was I here? Is there, sorry, I just have so much to say about everything. Will there be a video for every song on this record? Okay,
yes.
Cool.
Including another one in what day is it?
Today, good question. Today is the
6th of April. We're shooting another one soon.
Love it.
This month.
Cool.
Yeah.
So thanks for that tease. And I also saw on your socials you worked with Ukrainian model Louisa Kovansky, I think her last name is, for a forthcoming video release. I don't know if you can tease anything about that. I get it. Like, I work in music, you got to keep something secret. But anything else you want to share, we're all ears.
What can I share? I mean, you're right. She's starring in the video, and there are 4 other women starring in the video.
Okay.
We're not starring in the video.
Okay.
And God, I don't want to spoil too much.
No pressure. I'm,
good
I'm
video.
just this journalistic side of me just being like, come on,
Yeah,
what we got? What can we get from you?
it's not good. I refrain from bowing to any journalist pressure.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I understand from the management side, and I respect you 100%. So I want to continue to the second elephant in the room, which is that you're representing Germany at the Eurovision Song Contest. That is freaking massive. So congrats to you, the band, and everybody involved. That is
Thank you.
Huge. What was that day like, and how did you feel when you were announced the winners to represent Germany?
Oh, you mean the day of winning the preliminaries? I mean, we've been there in Cologne for 4 days in total, rehearsing and everything. And for us, it was the first time that we've ever been on a TV production. So it was a lot of new things and a lot of us going out of our comfort zone in a way. And going to the final show, you have, prior to that, you have a last rehearsal where there's rehearsal points given to check if the graphics are working and everything. And you're sitting there on the sofa knowing that none of this is real. It's just for rehearsal. But you already feel your heart going faster and faster and being excited as fuck. And when you're in the show, really, I was a bit nervous about the fact that we were performing last. So I didn't know what that would feel like. Would it be like a situation where you get more nervous from act to act, and you're just sitting there waiting for your performance, and you can't really focus on anything anymore, and you can't really enjoy it? Or, and that's what happened, is it like a festival situation, where you watch others perform, and you're really wanting to perform as well, like you really get excited about getting to be on that stage. And I think what helped with that feeling is that when going there and you meet all the other artists and you meet the production team, everyone there was super lovely. And also everyone there wasn't seeing it as like a competition where it's like all elbows and we're not friends. We're like,
you're a community of artists from the same country all celebrate.
We definitely lived up to the motto of this year's Eurovision, which is United by Music. And it was such a fun time. And even though we obviously made it to Eurovision now, I was really going, before we knew that, I was really going like, everyone in the room here deserves to go to Eurovision because everyone is great. And I want everyone here to go there. I think everyone deserves it. And so we had a lovely time. And obviously, we had a lovely time knowing that we're going to go to Eurovision. It was a weird moment. We were in a talk show last night. And they played back the video of the moment where we were announced winning this quote-unquote competition. And again, I remembered how that looked like because I remember nothing from that moment.
Yeah. You're in flow state. It was all probably just
Absolutely. And I mean, now it's still, we're still trying to grasp the size of it because, as I said, it's new to us and it's a new world. The Eurovision world is a weird, nice, and great new world that we don't know yet. We know touring and we know playing live, and we know that, even though even in that scene there's always new things thrown your way. But Eurovision is a completely new world where we have no experience in, and you could either get very nervous, which we are in a way with that, and think, oh my God, how is it going to be? I really don't know. And you can get very anxious, especially if you have expectations. high expectations. But actually, my only, and I think I'm speaking for the whole band here, my only expectation is for us to have fun there. Because again, we're meeting all the artists. We're going to Liverpool for in total 11 days, not only one. It's rehearsals and doing press. And I really like to enjoy this whole new world that we're in now, um, which would be super nice. And obviously, I would be lying if I wouldn't say that it would be nice to not be last place like Germany was in the past years.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be great. And as long as you're your authentic selves and you have fun and you touch people through music, I think that'll be the most important part. So thank you for sharing that moment with me and everybody else in podcast land. And I can't wait to see you all slay in Liverpool in May.
Thanks.
Cool. So next I want to segue this chat and put the spotlight on you. In your Instagram post about reflecting on Blood and Glitter getting #1 on the official German charts, you say, I can't help but to think of my younger self standing in my bedroom while playing along to Guns N' Roses songs. We're trying. I'd love, yeah, I'd love for you to share the backstory and musical journey of Pi. So start with maybe like, what are some other inspirations at an early age to pick up the guitar? Any favorite artists or outside influences?
I mean, I said what I said. Guns N' Roses really was for example, really Slash was the main like person that got me into guitar, especially the November Rain video where he's like playing that solo in front of that chapel in the desert. Super cool, at least to me. And with that, and also being exposed to a lot of pop punk and crossover music from my sister, which she was all Blink 182 and Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park. I got the hang of guitar-driven music. And apart from that, I was in a youth group and we did charity work for the community, like doing plays and with like a theater group and the choir and the band. And I always wanted to play in that band because I wanted to play the guitar already, but I didn't know how to. So I took lessons. And ended up in that youth group band. And with that, basically had my first stage experiences. Because we did like shows with theater and the choir singing along to the band. We even did a tour of Austria. I don't know why Austria. We're from Germany, but we toured Austria, not Germany, which was weird.
Yeah.
I don't mind. And also next to that, I kind of played in like unprofessional bands, like the least unprofessional, apart from Lord of the Lost, obviously. I was in a band when I was a teenager called Blackout, and we did really bad pop punk. Cool. I found our first and only EP yesterday.
Oh, cool! That's so fun.
Yeah. On CD. Yeah, so I never really put down the guitar because it was just me really and still really just enjoying to play the instrument in whatever form. And if it's on a stage or if it's at home, right now I don't really get to because there's a lot of other things to do. But yeah, when I was younger, that's the only thing I could do because I had unprofessional bands that didn't really play anywhere. So I played along to a lot of Guns N' Roses songs in my bedroom.
Nice.
Yeah.
Super cool. So I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say from being in those smaller bands, et cetera, how did that pave the way to you joining Lord of the Lost in 2016, 17?
I I mean, I didn't do a lot of music for a few years. When I moved to Hamburg, I moved to Hamburg to study audio engineering. And I was trying to get a foot in the door with music here in Hamburg because I mean it's Hamburg, it's a big city in Germany, second biggest city in Germany. There has to be some kind of way for me, I thought, in the music world. And I was really disappointed that I didn't find anything at first because there you meet a lot of people that aren't into it as much as you are. Um, and that's where you get either disappointed or you question yourself at some point where you're like, maybe it's just not for me, right? Apart from that, I never was the person to visualize myself on a stage in a way, and then on like a proper concert stage. I never did that. When I from when I started playing guitar, I never did that because it was too much of a too much of utopia for me that would happen. Um, but I always thought that there should be some kind of possibility to just make music for fun. But even that, when moving to Hamburg, wasn't possible. At least for me, it wasn't. Um, until I was at university, and Chris, our singer, was my lecturer.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's random and cool.
super random. So I got to know him in 2013, and in 2015, he asked me if I wanted to join as a crew member, as a guitar tech, because they we didn't have one. So I joined. I didn't know anything about what a guitar tech would do. I only knew stuff about guitars because I played them myself and how to restring them and set them up
It's kind of like a hell
ish.
yeah moment. Like here's a moment where
Yeah,
I can get
sure.
my foot in the door. Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect really. I just said yes. You want to go on an unpaid tour for a month? Yeah, why not? It sounds good. Sounds great. Um, I did that for a year and a half, uh, about a year and a half, and my predecessor in the band, he decided to quit, to get a regular job and to have a different way in life. And yeah, I guess the option then to the boys was obvious to ask me to try out. I thought it was just to help out for one tour at first. So I didn't know that they were planning on inviting me to the band. I was just helping out until on the final show of the tour, they asked me if I wanted to stay. And uh, after not understanding what they said, because I already had my in-ears in, I had to get them out like, what was that? um, they asked me if I wanted to stay, and obviously I said yes. And that also was the 30th of December, but in
Oh wow.
2016. Um, yeah, and that's how I joined my band. And from that, yeah,
I love that.
the rest is
The rest is
history.
history. So
Yeah.
cool. I love that. That's so neat. It's really cool how kind of everything winds up working, especially when you had
Yeah.
that first mindset, which was, am I meant to be here? And then you stuck through it and it all fell into place. So I love that.
Yeah.
So the next part of the interview, I do a silly rapid fire question, if you're into it. It's only three little questions, and one of them is kind of a guest question I got from a colleague of yours. So first one is, what is the most ridiculous thing you've ever bought?
Uh, I don't buy a lot of things. Wait. Uh, I think it's very ridiculous. No, it's not. And no, I have to. The most ridiculous thing I bought was. Wow, I'm really bad at this.
It's okay. I can just
No,
edit
no,
that
no, no,
the
no,
pause
no, no,
out.
no, no. Yeah, just. I think the most ridiculous thing I bought was a short sleeve Bugs Bunny shirt, which doesn't look good at all on me. I just thought it was funny. I never even was into Bugs Bunny or something.
Okay.
I can never say why I bought it. I wasn't on anything. I don't do anything,
Impulse.
nor do I really drink alcohol, but I bought that.
Very cool. What movie or book do you know the most quotes from?
The Pick of Destiny.
Okay.
Tenacious D.
Love it. Cool. And
Yeah.
this next question is not quite a rapid fire question, but I hit up Eike Freese before chatting with you for a cool moment that you could maybe reflect on. He said you should remember it, so we'll see. On the first night after a couple beers when you were recording, getting together Thorn Star in Morcola, I think that's how you say it. He said a really
Mallorca.
Mallorca.
Yeah.
He said a really unusual thing happened with guitars for On This Rock I Will Build My Church. Do you remember it?
Yes. Yes. We had right. It was on the island Mallorca. We went there to write Thornstar out of spite in a way, because originally we were meant to go to the US to tour for a month, but we didn't get visa.
Yeah.
Trump. So what we did was we flew there to just have a good time and write an album. We wanted to write an album either way. We just did it there. And one of the first nights, we had like a barbecue. We were sitting around fire, and we only had the line like these on this rock. Oh, but we only had the line, and Eike, he was taking that line and sitting in his like camping chair, and I was like, on this rock, da, da, I will build my church, da, 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 da. And he mouthed the complete thing, like the intro, and then the riff was like da 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 da, and he did that, and we recorded it with a phone, and we pulled that out to Chris and him wrote that, and it was born from like him semi drunk on a campfire. That's what he meant. I think that's what he meant.
Yeah, totally. No, yeah, I was curious to see if you would remember it, and yeah, he said it was like it came from above, and to maybe bring it up in this chat. So thank you for sharing that moment.
Yeah,
that was cool. Okay, cool. So that's the rapid fire. And lastly, you have a Blood and Glitter show starting. The tour starts the end of this month, and then more Iron Maiden shows this summer, along with a number of festivals as well. Is there anything that you'd like to preview about the live shows this summer before we wrap up our chat?
We will play songs that aren't even out yet.
What?
What? Yeah.
Cool.
You're welcome.
Nice.
Looking forward to that. We're really much looking forward to that.
Cool. And that'll be at your Club and Glitter shows, or all of them? Or
No.
Glitter?
The club and glitter shows are still the two that we have left, because we had to postpone them because our drummer was sick. That's still the concept of playing the whole Blood and Glitter album.
Got it.
And then a few of our quote unquote hits. And when we start the tour we're going to South America in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. That's also blood and glitter-ish club shows. But the whole summer, when our Blood and Glitter yearbook is out, which features the More Blood and More Glitter version, where these unreleased songs are on. Shameless plug. We will also play them.
Awesome.
So it's maybe on festivals and maiden shows, and you have to check us out in summer, I guess.
Definitely. Go see Lord of the Lost and get something special. More surprises all around. So thank you so much for sharing everything with me. I really appreciate it and for having you on.
Yeah, thanks for the podcast. That was cool.
And there you have it, Pi, the guitarist from Lord of the Lost. Be sure to check out their Absolute Attitude. Just kidding, that's a play on one of their song titles. Their absolutely amazing new album, Blood and Glitter, and be sure to cheer them on for the Eurovision Song Contest this May. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast. In my brain, I have this ultimate dream of growing a community of people who love exploring rock music and all music in an unconventional way. If you listen because you're a fan of Lord of the Lost, hopefully you'll stick around and check out past episodes of Brandi is Going to Hell and discover someone else. I love celebrating awesome artists, their stories, and providing fun interviews with them for you. Until next time, a random thought, powered by the Wingman's Path to Positivity. Others have done it. I can too. Don't compare the apples and oranges between you and others. You can do it on your own terms. Believe in yourself, do the work, and make it happen. Bye-bye. Thank you, yes you, for listening to Brandi is Going to Hell. I have a lot more thank yous in order for making the show come alive. I want to thank Celeste Giuliano for her amazing pinup photography. I dreamed of having my photographs taken by her in order to make my podcasting dreams come to life. So thank you, Celeste, and your team for making me look like a hot mama. Thanks to Olivia Borcheski for the latest and greatest installment of my podcast logo. I outsourced it to Olivia to turn a couple-year-old photograph into something fresh and fierce. Nailed it. Shout out and many thanks to Ryan Hanratty at Frosted Green Productions for all video production. My man, definitely don't want to be fucking with video, and you've saved my life. My amazing husband, Mike Airy, for always believing in me and bridging the gap between me and amazing artists. More importantly, having somebody that just loves me and my absolute goddamn weirdness. You are a saint and I love you and you're my rock. Saint Neot's hardcore band Impact for the music throughout the show. You can check out their EP Strength Through Loyalty on every streaming service. My friend Gooch, aka Ryan Nelson, for always asking me when's a new show coming out. My friend Matt Young, who got my foot into the door as an intern at IndieGoot, which led me to my first career in music at Q Prime. Huge thank you to Nick Teeter for the rec and following up, and a major shout out goes to Doug Oswandel as well for giving me a chance and hiring me there. My dad, John Lukas, for raising me with an impeccable taste in music, and my mom, Beth Ann Lukas, for helping me be a functional adult with good credit. Jokes aside, I'm so lucky to have had such wonderful and caring parents growing up and mold me into the person I am today. Last but not least, Brandi is Going to Hell is dedicated to my badass grandmom, Elizabeth Betty Fowler.